Good afternoon. My name is Lanice Adams, and I am a member of Walter's Memorial AME Zion Church. My pastor is Reverend Elvin Clayton. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing two amazing members of Walter's Memorial as part of our Black History program. I, I'll interview Mr. Century Gamble, a school psychologist for Bridgeport School System. And following Mr. Gamble, I'll be interviewing Colonel Adele Hodges, a retired veteran of the United States Marine Corps. First, Mr. Gamble, before we get started, I'd like to thank you for your years of dedicated service to the Bridgeport community's children and families.
You're welcome.
All right, how many years, Mr. Gamble, have you been a school psychologist?
I've been employed with the Bridgeport Board of Ed for about 35 years.
35 years. And becoming a school psychologist and being successful as it was a great accomplishment for you?
Yes, it was. So
What college did you attend, and what degree did you get?
I attended the first 3 years. I attended a branch campus of the University of South Carolina in Sumter. There I received my associate's degree. For my senior year, I went to the main campus in Columbia, where I received a Bachelor of Arts degree. I took about a year off, then I went back and came here to Bridgeport and attended the University of Bridgeport, where I obtained my master's degree and then my sixth-year degree.
Great. Now, what challenges did you encounter in your journey towards a higher education?
My major challenges occurred during my elementary, middle school, and high school years in South Carolina. During that time, it was sort of the height of racism, where African American or people of color were viewed as good athletes, but they weren't viewed as comparable to our white counterparts in the classroom in terms of academic ability. There was a lot of friction during those times, and especially when it was our senior year to graduate, where it was myself and another white young lady had the almost exact same grade point average of 93 point something. And behind the scenes, I was unaware at the time, but behind the scenes, there was a lot of going back and forth and bickering and fighting about who should be, valedictorian or salutatorian of your senior class. One of the arguments was the young lady took basic, chemistry, basic math, and those kinds, whereas I was taking more college prep courses, and some felt that I should be, the higher average because of my classes. So, and other challenges were, normal, how you're going to pay for it, how do you balance work, and those kinds of things that have a social life at the same time.
The social life is important, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what was your first job after getting your degree and certification?
I was one of the lucky ones because the same year I graduated from the University of Bridgeport, I was hired by the Bridgeport Board of Ed.
And what were some struggles for you being a Black male school psychologist?
One of the, I think, struggles early on was being viewed as a professional. Sometimes they viewed us as not equal in some instances. And later, I found that my caseloads tended to be a little bit heavier. I got sent to the more challenging schools. Early on, you would have conversations. An example is there was at one time they housed all of the students with emotional disturbance in one building, and they were supposed to rotate between myself and two other of my colleagues. And when it got to me, it seemed like the rotation stopped. So, but that's, part of the job. And I've had one of my supervisors told me blunt to my face, I'm sending you to this particular school because you're a Black male. She would say that I've sent other females there, and it was always a challenge. It was always a problem, with the building administrator. So you're going there because you're a Black male. And other parts of that is the caseload gets heavy.
I'm sure you have experienced many changes in school policies, some removed, and things added. What one thing would you bring back if you had the opportunity to? Something that you believe would benefit all students?
quite a few years ago, there was a program called co-location, where the Bridgeport Board of Ed partnered with community agencies to address the needs of families in the communities. Families that were referred were brought up at the meetings, and we would sit down as a group and talk about what does this family need. Those parts that related to education, the Bridgeport Board of Ed was responsible for. Not only that, certain individuals were identified as the persons who would be responsible for that part. Say, for example, if evaluations were needed, myself might be, responsible for certain testing, and other parts maybe go to the special ed teacher for academics. If the family needed housing, there was a person responsible, it was a caseworker who may oversee everything. And if they needed housing, there was a person responsible for that. If they needed furniture, there was someone who was responsible for that. If there were appliances, if they needed to get to different meetings, different appointments in the community, there were people appointed to make sure that those things happened.
Oh, it sounds like a great program.
It was.
And thank you, Mr. Gamble, for all of your years of service to our Bridgeport public school community.
You're welcome.
All right, Colonel Hodges, before we get started, I would like to thank you for your many years of service for protecting our nation.
Thank you. It is my pleasure, and thank you for your support.
Now, what made you choose the military, specifically the Marines, for your career path?
Well, I can say I did not choose the Marines chose me because when I graduated from high school and graduated from college, I had no idea that I would end up in the military. And it was one cold day in March in the year I won't speak of right now when I decided that the job hunting after college was not going as I expected. So I thought maybe I'd try to check to see what the services had to offer. And a Marine recruiter accosted me because I would not go into his office, and he came out and started recruiting me right on the sidewalk there downtown Bridgeport. And I did go into his office out of the cold when my sister Rosina came in, and he started trying to recruit her. Well, he actually did recruit her, and I went into the Marine Corps to save her.
Gotta save your sister.
Exactly, my little sister.
Where did you attend college?
I graduated from Southern Connecticut State College at the time, now Southern Connecticut State University, and I also went to a national university where I received my master's.
How many years did you serve?
33 years on active duty in the United States Marine Corps.
Wow. How was your experience in the Marines as a Black female? Was there a difference in the way you were treated compared to males, Black or others?
Well, at first, being a junior Marine, I would say because I was female, I got treated a little different, and it wasn't a nice way different, but they realized that I had a college degree, where they, with a little arm twisting, they encouraged me to apply for an enlisted commissioning program, which I did, and that's where I got my commission through the Marine Corps Enlisted Commissioning Program. And I can say as a junior officer, I can say that I didn't really have mentors as I went up through the ranks. So I chose mentors who were people who I would like to emulate as leaders. And sometimes they didn't know that they were my mentor. I just watched them, and I took on their leadership styles.
You have been to several places, states, and countries. Which of your amazing experiences is the most memorable?
Probably when I was stationed for NATO. I was attached to NATO, and before I became the commanding officer of Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, and being in NATO, I was stationed in Stavanger, Norway, and it gave me an opportunity to travel all over Europe, where I wouldn't have had that opportunity at any other duty station. So that was the most memorable.
Now, how was that experience for you when you became the first Black female base commander at Camp Lejeune?
Well, I was actually stationed at NATO in Stavanger, Norway, when I got accepted, when I was, I guess, selected to be the first black female commander. And it was during a time when the Marine Corps was going through a change in installation commanders. I took over from a 2-star general, and I thought for sure that it was a mistake. So it was, when I got there, and before that I realized that it was for the entire installation, I was a little skeptical and hesitant because, first of all, I was a colonel, I was female, and I was black, and I didn't think I would be accepted as I actually was. When I got there, they told me, you're going to be the base commander and we're going to treat you as such. So, you know, some people did not, or some Marines and some civilians didn't think that I could do the job. But as I told my commanding officer when I took over, I told him I got this. And somehow God was on my side, and he was on my shoulders every step of the way. So it wasn't like I commanded as a female or black or colonel. I commanded as the commanding officer of Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune.
Great. Now, what do you miss most about being in active duty?
I miss the camaraderie. I miss the opportunities to grow. Every duty station was a different challenge, and I could feel myself growing into the position I was assigned. So I really miss the opportunities to travel, and I miss the camaraderie of the people, because every Marine's a brother or a fellow brother or sister Marine. And Marines are, you can always tell a Marines, you know, you just look at them and you just know.
What would you like young people to learn from you regarding your amazing career in the United States Marine Corps?
Well, I'd like them to understand that I have a motto that you grow where you're planted. And if you have the desire to take on the U.S. military, I think it's a great opportunity. And you have to understand that you have to grow. You have to learn from the experience that you're receiving and continue to grow from there and take on the next challenge. Everything through life is going to be a challenge. The military is just a different type of challenge. But if you decide to go in the military, you will find that you will have brothers and sisters all over the world, international and throughout the U.S. You will find people who you will be attached to for the rest of your life.
Thank you. And again, thank you so much for your service, Colonel Hodges.
Thank you so much for your support.